Welcome to the Music of America podcast, where every week we visit a different state in America and meet a different guest in the music industry. Every day, Monday through Friday. We begin in Alabama and we end in Wyoming. I'm your host, Tom Pollard. Let's talk music here on the Music of America. Thursday in Vermont, here on the Music of America podcast. Vermont, my home, away from my home, sort of, as we've been talking about this week. We're in Clarendon today, one of the worst cell services I've ever experienced in my life. And our guest today, Kristian Montgomery. We'll talk with Kristian in just a little bit after I talk to you about a neighboring state, New Hampshire, and Portsmouth, the Portsmouth Music and Arts Center. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to building community through the arts. At PMAC, music and visual arts programs are available for ages 4 through adult, including private lessons, music ensembles, free art exhibits, all kinds of events, and so much more. PMAC builds gateways for education and engagement, creating a safe environment where students of all ages can grow, excel, and achieve their full creative potential. It's really cool. There's a place for anyone and everyone at PMAC, Portsmouth Music and Arts Council. PMAC, www.pmaconline.org. Check them out to learn more about them. I lived in Vermont. I should have a Vermont Arts Council commercial or promo, and I don't know why I don't. We have to go to New Hampshire, go to Idaho, go to everywhere but Vermont. I got to think for Jazz Generation out of New York. I got to get something going here for Vermont, I guess. Right? Our guest, Kristian Montgomery, and formerly of was it Wallingford?
Formerly, yeah, of Wallingford, now Clarendon, yeah.
So tell us about Wallingford and why you're not there anymore, and tell us about Clarendon and why you're there.
Well, February 9th, there was a loud banging on my door from a neighbor whom I had words with a couple of times, and I thought to myself, well, today was the day, so I told my wife, go get the first aid kit, and I went to the door, and he was screaming, "Your house is on fire."
Oh my!
So the back of my barn was fully engulfed, and so we have a 6-year-old foster kid who has autism, and our first priority was to get him and my stepson and my stepson's girlfriend out of the house. Oh. And I was able to get the chocolate lab out, and I turned to go back in to get the rest of our pets, and it was just too overwhelming. There's too much smoke, and I couldn't even get my wallet off the counter, so it was that bad. So I thought better of it, and I got out of there, and never seen something burn so fast. It was like a movie. 1 minute it was just a little bit of smoke in the living room, and I was thinking, thank God our foster kid hadn't fallen asleep on the beanbag, because sometimes he does in the living room. And that night, for whatever reason, he was sleeping right next to us. So we got out. The house was gone, and we spent a couple of days homeless and with absolutely nothing. And it's a strange experience to have nothing. So I kind of just found the resolve to say, all right, we're going to push through this. And, at the same time, my new EP, Prophets of the Apocalypse, came out on March 15th.
How ironic.
So it was ironic. And, I've had a couple of, I have a song called American Fire that's pretty political. And, there's people have, kind of approached me and said, this is almost like prophetic. And, it was a house my wife and I loved. We did so much work. It was an old farmhouse, and it was such a cool project for the two of us to work on together. And it was huge. So it was great because we had family come and stay, and, it was a beautiful place to live, great neighbors. But we had found another piece of property up the road. But before I closed on the house here in Clarendon on March 23rd, I was at the Listen Up Music Awards in Cohoes, New York. It was put on by Mirth Films and Radio X, and I was nominated for 2 categories, and they called the first one, and my buddy Chris won.
Oh wow!
We were nominated for the same award, and then favorite Americana artist popped up, and I won.
Wow!
And it was just unexpected, and with the amount of talent that's in this area, it was quite the honor. And my wife and I closed on our house shortly after that, and it's beautiful here in Clarendon. We're at a higher elevation. We're about 1,200 feet above sea level here. So the weather's a little bit different. It's a little colder.
A little colder, a little longer. Colder, a little longer. Yeah.
But we got our horses back because our horses. My wife was the one who rescued the horses out of the stable.
Because you said it was a barn fire. I thought, did you lose animals? But
yeah, we lost my dog Freya, and lost 3 cats, and we lost all of our fowl. Our chickens, ducks, and geese were lost. But my wife was like a cowgirl. She was getting those horses out of there.
Yeah.
Those are her babies.
Sure.
So she rescued them, and but when we found this place up here, it's got a barn, and insurance did right by us. So we had a cooperative insurance, and I know they came through for us, and we were able to get into a new house. And it's smaller house, more land. So it's more my speed. We got 5.5 acres, so I got my garden. She's got her horses out in the pasture, and we got the cows coming next weekend. So,
wow, you got quite the farm.
Yeah, it's. This place calls for it. You have to.
Yeah.
We got a pond too. It's like, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, Clarendon's such a beautiful, quiet community.
Yeah,
it's so nice. It's really nice. It's one of those towns that I couldn't live there because I got to be around stuff, and you're an hour and a half to anything, right? An hour, I guess, an hour.
About an hour, yeah. And the saying here in Vermont is that it's about an hour away when you're talking about anything.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I lived by higher ground, 5 minutes down the road, but it was still about an hour,
Yeah.
So let's.
I played up in Burlington a couple weeks back. I was up on Big Heavy World playing on their show. I did 2 shows.
Was that at Higher Ground? Was that Arch Riot, or what was that?
No. It's Big Heavy World is the radio station in Burlington that does.
Oh, okay.
They've got live performance venue, but it's all like in studio stuff.
I got you.
Yeah,
because I thought I knew the circuit. I had a whole circuit that we used to work. When all these places were open, but we would start at Radio Bean, and then we'd go down Church Street and we'd check at Halverson's, which stopped doing music, and then there was a place where then we'd go to Red Square, and then right next to Red Square was another little music venue. Then we'd go around the corner to Nectar's, and then we'd go to the Sidebar, and then we'd go over to Manhattan's, and we'd go and do that side of the road. With hitting all these places, we would usually find someplace, but we always end up back at the Bean where we started.
Yeah, it's a cool spot up there. We're kind of caught in the middle of all these different genres where we have the jam bands, and then there's the folk scene, and the kind of Grateful Dead-ish kind of vibe up here too, and then of course the bluegrass bands, and we are obviously influenced by all of them, but we're our kind of foundation is built on rock, and we. If people ask me, what do you like, as a band for a genre, I always say we're a rock band. We play rock and roll. We play blues. We play blues rock. But,
So tell me about, how did you get started? Are you from, I guess that's not really the Northeast Kingdom, is it?
Me?
Yeah.
Well,
where are you from originally?
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Oh wow! Made a wrong turn somewhere.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Vermont?
My mother is a blue-blooded New Englander from Boston.
Oh, okay.
And my dad's from Copenhagen, and we were fishermen by trade, and my mother's father was a fisherman. My father was, a fisherman, and that's how she met him down in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And I grew up. I was, grew up in Florida. And then moved to New England with my mother when my parents split up. But then I've traveled quite a bit. So between Boston and going back to Denmark, I would go to the Cape in the summertime where I met my wife. She was the first girl I ever kissed. And
sweet.
Yeah, her father was a fishing captain, and my aunt broke it up. We didn't see each other for, almost 30 years, 20 years, and ran into each other after we both had gotten divorced, and I sealed the deal. But we had a fishing boat in Cape Cod. We sold it 6 years ago to move to Vermont.
Okay. So. And music-wise, did you start music when you were younger? Did you start later in life?
Yeah, I started really young. My grandparents took me in when I was 4.
Uh-huh.
And my grandmother made me go to church with her. And she sounded terrible when she sang. And I learned that if I sang louder than her, people wouldn't stare at us. And my reverend was a singer with the Boston Pops. He was a tenor.
Oh, wow.
And he heard me, and he asked my family if he could give me vocal lessons. And it was, the Episcopal Church, where the priests are allowed to marry and have children and families.
Right.
So, he was just kind of like this normal everyday guy, and he introduced me to Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and Frank Zappa and all these, kind of started me on my downward spiral at that point.
Downward spiral.
But he was a huge influence, and I got into a rock band when I was in my teens, and I took the drummer of Aerosmith's daughter to the prom when I was a kid. I got to see a lot of really cool, meet a lot of cool musicians, and then I was in a really big band in Boston. I'd got nominated for the Boston Music Awards a couple times, and then the New England Music Awards, and then I had married the wrong woman at the time. Went through a terrible divorce and put music down for a little while. Uh-huh. And then my current wife, when she and I first started dating, told me, you have to get back into playing, So I got, I recorded The Gravel Church, which was my first solo record. And it just kind of took off from there. So, it's something I've been doing forever. Accolades aside, it's been my kind of therapy for a long time. Yeah. But getting recognized for these awards is really wild, because
absolutely, yeah. It's just nice to be nominated, and then you win,
Right. Well, this was my first win this March. I had got nominated for the Josie Music Awards last year.
Oh, that's cool.
Down in Nashville.
Uh-huh.
And I think I got like 4 categories for that, and I was like, wow, okay, people are maybe starting to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
It's definitely taken root here in New England, and we're starting to draw some pretty good crowds. I still think that music is that one form of art that can start revolutions like we talked about back, when rock and roll was first invented. It was supposed to be a way of kind of taking charge of our own lives and in whatever rebellious way we wanted to. So I kind of see us heading in a direction where we're going to need that again. So I'm not stopping.
So when did you start writing? What got you to start writing? Or did you write when you started writing? When you started playing, did you just start writing immediately?
No, it wasn't immediate. So I had a lot of really good examples of what to do and what not to do in some of my first bands. The majority of the people who wrote the songs were guys that I had joined bands with who were 2 or 3, 4 years older than me, and who had been playing in rock bands for a long time, and they would tell you how awesome they were. So I had a bass player who would come into practice, and he would bring a song to us, and I would say, "Gosh, it sounds like that song I heard on the radio the other day." And he'd say, "Yeah, I heard that, and I wrote this." And I said, "Well, I never want to be that guy."
Right.
And then I've had friends who just take forever, who hear part over part over part, and they drive me nuts because they're such talented guys. And I would always say to them, like, if you just brought your first idea to rehearsal, we'd have a double album by now.
Well, that's a question I ask a lot too, and it's usually more about production, but it applies to writing too. That when do you think a song is done?
Oh, yeah, it's never done until you write that check for the mastering. I mean, I've had songs that have come to me in minutes, and then other songs that took, the addition of another player coming in with a new idea to finish it, and or a producer saying, "Hey, this is what I want you to do." The guy that I'm currently working with now, his 2 clients before me were Alicia Keys and John Legend, so it was intimidating. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, his name's Andrew Koss. He used to own Terminus Studios in Times Square, and he moved to the mountains to get away from it all. And he recorded my album Lower County Outlaw, and it came out cool. He had a really good sense of space, and not trying to fill a song up with stuff just to do so.
Yeah.
But Prophets of the Apocalypse was recorded in Randolph, Vermont, with my friend Vincent Freeman, he's a German import, and we kind of had that Northern European connection. So it was a nice bond. It was very comfortable. Yeah. But I decided to go back to Andrew. We had some conversations, and I think it's going to be a good for both of us to do this record. So,
who's in the Winter Kill band?
Oh gosh, the current lineup, which I'm hoping remains permanent, is my buddy Jake Hill plays bass. He's a tradesman. My buddy John Clark, who owns an electrical company, he's an electrician here in Vermont. And then one of my coworkers, James Pesler, is my drummer, and they played on. They were all players on the last EP.
Gotcha. And then they all from around the same area too? Like, how do you find these guys? Because again, the Clarendon is not a metropolitan area. No. So James is in Wells, Vermont, which is about a couple miles on the other side of the mountain from me. So rehearsals during large amounts of snow are tough. But the other guys are further south down in Manchester, and we're all within a half hour driving of each other. So we rehearse at my guitar player's house. We used to rehearse. Clarendon isn't a half an hour from Manchester.
It is if you go the back dirt roads.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go down and hit Route 30 and then get the dirt roads through Dorset, it's like right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and then Wells is Wells is probably around the same, probably around a half hour from here. So
where do you guys get together? Do you have a studio place or a rehearsal place, or do you get at somebody's house?
Yeah, we rehearse at my guitar player's house. And it's a pretty cool spot. His wife is from Belarus, and so if it gets too loud, she yells at us in Russian, and we know when it's time to settle down.
That's funny. Now we're going to listen to some of your songs. The first one we've got on deck here is A Little Lower, which kind of funny because I can picture this Belarusian, this woman from Belarus say a little lower, but she wouldn't say it so quietly.
Yeah, so nicely. Yeah.
What's it about?
Oh, so that's just about. It was a part of my life where my faith in people kind of dipped, and it just seemed as though I had some people in my past that it just seemed as though when you thought that they just couldn't do anything worse, they would find something, just to get a little lower. It was like reaching that bar of, God, really? Like, and now you're going to do that? Okay. It was just at the time, I had a friend who was, was getting bullied a little bit, or his son was getting bullied a little bit in school, hence the music video. And it was just about how it just seemed as though people were just stooping to these all-time lows of it was a part of my life where like just common human decency seemed to take a backseat to instant gratification.
It's a hell of an inspiration.
Yeah. And I mean, there might have been some jabs at some exes in there too.
Well, let's give it a listen. It's Kristian Montgomery, our guest here from Clarendon, Vermont, and the Winter Kill Band. The first song we'll listen to, A Little Lower.
You rise to fall until you lose it all. They'll kick you when you're down, so you don't come around. A little lower, she used to get down all night. You wanna know it, but she used to be mine, oh mine. A little lower, she used to get down all night. You wanna know it, but she used to be mine, oh mine. She used to be mine, oh mine. They'll say you don't belong, and then they'll do you wrong. They don't care what you say, they'll make you go away. A little lower, she used to get down all night. You wouldn't know it, but she used to be mine, oh mine. A little lower, she used to get down all night.
Song called A Little Lower. Kristian Montgomery, our guest here on the Music of America podcast and the Winter Kill Band. I'm your host, Tom Pollard. And boy, this song is just so appropriate for Vermont. Cold Day in Hell. We call it Cold Day in Hell. It starts on Halloween and it ends on Memorial Day. And it's a little worse in the higher elevations, I guess, right?
Yeah. Cold Day in Hell is my homage to One Night Stands. It was a mistake that lasted a long time. Sometimes those looking back at it, when you get out of those kind of narcissistic toxic relationships, and you're like, man, like, what was I thinking? And it was a cold day in hell. It was like that perfect storm of, like, you showed up with my favorite minibar and said all the right things at the right time while I was at a low point, and I never would have otherwise. But got myself stuck in a pretty tough situation. So it was a pretty damn cold day.
Yeah, but it's wonderful how you can take even something like that, though, and use that as inspiration to write a song and do something with it. So what's fun about this song?
Oh, well, the fun part is that I'm pretty sure it's the bass line to Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
Oh, really?
When we started working on it, my bass player Jake started playing this real repetitious line, and I kind of came up with a kind of King Zexy guitar part for it. And my guitar player just like paused for a second, started laughing. He goes, "Oh, damn it! I think that's the bass line from Billie Jean." And we both just kind of looked at him and went, just go with it. And so it kind of turned into a little 80s metal kind of vibe,
That's so funny. There's 8 notes. I always tell people there's 8 notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it starts to repeat. And so I'll hear a song, and it drives my friends nuts, because we'll be jamming downstairs, just jamming on like a 1-4-5 something or another, and then somebody will hit a note in a solo or something, and I'll know what they're playing. It'll trigger something with me, and all of a sudden I'll break into what happened last time we got together, Harlem Shuffle. I started singing Harlem Shuffle by the Rolling Stones. They're like, "Where'd you come up with that?" I said, "Well, you had that funk thing going with that, that A minor." We're vamping on it. It's like, "How do you do that?" I said, I don't know. It's my superpower, I guess. But so this lady that's coming on later on, I won't say when, because the people won't know. She sent me. I'm listening to some of her stuff on YouTube, and she's singing the song, and all of a sudden I start singing "Spooky" as a counter melody to it, and it fit, man. It fit. This is so cool. Yeah. So I got to wrote it. I had to write her. I said, I was listening to X. And I had to sing the song. It's just funny, though, that how songs can be so different and yet the same,
Yeah.
Pretty neat. And it's A Cold Day in Hell is the song, right? Is this a solo song? This is a Winter Kill song. All these are Winter Kill songs, right?
It's Kristian. It's kind of like Tom Petty and the Winter Kill. I mean, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, right? Kind of thing. This is a project where this last record, the last EP, has been a complete collaboration. We wrote the songs together, same room, same time, and recorded them together with all of us there. So I mean, it was a total, like Cold Day in Hell. It was created because Jake, my bass player, sang me the chorus. He was like, "I just always thought this was cool," So we put it together. It was this group of guys and I, we really play well together. We really, like, a lot of eye contact, a lot of playing off of each other, knowing where we're going to go. Can kind of follow each other through, changing key, and it's been fun.
That's cool. Let's give it a listen. Cold Day in Hell with Kristian Montgomery and the Winter Kill Band here on the Music of America podcast. Cold Day in Hell with Kristian Montgomery, Winter Kill Band, here on the Music of America podcast. A couple more songs coming up after we have this little discussion. I was talking to a friend of mine about my brother's couple's workbook called 2 Years After Forever. It's sort of a how-to guide to improve your communication skills, which, as anyone in any relationship knows, is crucial. So, as we spoke later in the conversation, I mentioned it again, the book, 2 Years After Forever. You know, that's the name of the book I told you my brother wrote. And she goes, wait, oh, your brother's book. I thought you meant a book you borrowed from your brother. 3 little words, my brother's book, 2 different interpretations. So in 2 Years After Forever, the book, there are exercises that help you form better communicative skills to avoid pratfalls like that one. And along with your partner, learning and applying these exercises help you get back on track to why 2 years ago you pledged your life together forever. 2 Years After Forever, www.2yearsafterforever.com. It's available at Amazon today and forever. We're with Kristian Montgomery from Clarendon. Would you say Clarendon is north central Vermont?
We are west central Vermont.
West central.
We're right on the border of New York.
I had you way over on the other side than I'm thinking of someplace else. You're up more by well, anyway, you're in Clarendon. I had you on the other side of Stowe, headed up like to the Northeast Kingdom.
Oh, no. We're west central, halfway up. It's only, it's 3 hours to Canada from here. It's 25 minutes to New York. So I play a lot of shows in Saratoga.
Okay.
You know, I'm playing at this place called the Parting Glass in Saratoga on June 28th.
That's why I said that Manchester isn't 15 minutes away, because I had you way up by Stowe.
No, we're not that far.
Now, can you see? You can see the Adirondacks from your backyard, right? From where you are.
I've got the Adirondacks on one side, and I've got the Green Mountains on the other. Yeah,
isn't it gorgeous? I love it. Route 7 going all the way, like straight on down. That's what now I know where you are.
Yeah.
But just good taking Route 7 out of Burlington and going all the way down to like Killington, or Ludlow, I guess. Or no, what am I thinking of?
Yep. Well, Ludlow and Killington are two. Yeah, they're another 20 minutes to me. I work up on Killington all the time.
Okay. So I had, there was a ski resort. I had to take my car and drive up the mountain, to take pictures of, I work for a pest control company, and we were bidding on all of the resorts. We had to see all the facilities that were up there. And I'll tell you, it's one thing when it's covered with snow. Okay. It's another when you're driving your Honda CRV.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. But when we got to the top, some of the most beautiful views I've ever seen of Vermont, just looking out from Killington, from the top of Killington, looking out on some of the valleys and that. It's gorgeous. Such a great state.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do you get inspired by the surroundings? Because to me, that's one of the most beautiful things about Vermont is just that, the mountains and the trees, and even stick season is cool to me,
Yeah. Now we've got it's inspirational. I have a song called "That Kind of Love," and I was able to take the phrase "Appalachian Girls" and somehow fit it in the song to make it sound cool. But it's beautiful.
Make it Adirondack Girls, and it's a natural, right?
Yeah.
Now, the next song we're going to listen to is "Leaving Texas." When were you in Texas? You were in Denmark, and you were in Massachusetts. When were you in Texas?
So I've been there quite a few times playing music.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've toured all over the world. The funny part about it is leaving Texas. There was one show I played where I had a genuine fear for my life. they just didn't like what I was doing. It was a real Blues Brothers moment. But that incorporated with I have family in Texas. My cousin Inga and her brother Thor live in Houston, and they are two of the most polar opposite people I'd ever met. One being my cousin Inga is a very right-wing conservative truck driver. Likes her guns and trucks.
Uh-huh.
And then her brother Thor is a cross-dressing gay man who is just the life of the party. And both of them have reached out to me on several different occasions to say, I gotta get the hell out of here. This place is killing me.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Texas as being that welcoming to a diverse lifestyle. I mean, some parts are. I've got family members that don't necessarily follow the traditional lines of living rules or whatever. But yeah. And one of them's in Austin. No, Houston, Dallas. Yeah, one of those big cities, and he's doing quite well. She's doing quite well.
Yeah, there's several parts of Texas that I would describe as scary, but there's also other parts that are very open and a little more progressive. But I think for the most part, everybody should get the hell out of there.
Especially if you're a Bernie backer, you're not welcome very much, right? No, that kills me too, because being a Dane and seeing how well the government works there when we teach empathy and when we take care of each other, and living here in America, where it's the only civilized country that doesn't give everybody health care, and that teaches you that your neighbor is your competition, not your friend. Yeah. So it's frustrating, but leaving Texas tells you all about it. Well, let's listen to it. Let's hear that homage to the great Lone Star State. Kristian Montgomery, the Winter Kill Band, our guest here on the Music America podcast, the song "Leaving Texas."
In this grand reflection, I can bear.
Song called Leaving Texas with Kristian Montgomery, the Winter Kill Band, here on the Music of America podcast. One more song with Kristian coming up in just a moment. Be Normous, all right, not enormous, but Be Normous, the letter B, Be Normous Productions, have been producing and recording music and videos for over 20 years. After years as a performer, the owner, Van Veerhoeven, decided to go back to that which he loves most, production. Under tutelage of Jordan Valeria, he opened up his own place in Milliken, Colorado with high-end instruments, high-end tools on hand to make your sound compete with that of your own favorite records. He's got one goal in mind, that's for you to look and sound as professional as possible. So go make some records. Go make some videos at Be Normous Productions. They're on Facebook or at www.benormousproductions.com. Got time for one more song with Kristian Montgomery and the Winter Kill Band. But speaking of video, I want to ask you, have you done music videos? Like actually a produced music video? Yeah. How much fun is that? Or
it's a blast. I was in a band in the 90s, early 2000s called Bone Dry System, and in one of the videos, we had Michelle Laurie from Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. She acted in it, and she wasn't much younger than me, but it was at least a 10-year gap. And the director of the video wanted us to get really close at the end, like nose to nose, and I kept laughing. And he was yelling at me, saying, time is money, and he was a director, David, I want to say Scott Masterson, who had won the Howard Stern, video something contest. And, we were all excited about having him. And we had the guy from who does the voiceover for In a World Where, for the movie. Yeah. He did our commercial. And, the long and short of it is I kept laughing every time we got really close. And, the guy said, "What's the problem?" And I was like, "Dude, this just wouldn't happen in real life." And the actress looked at me and said, "Well, if I had a couple of drinks," and I was like, "Oh, thanks a lot. That makes me feel even better."
If I had a couple of drinks,
so the back and forth is the fun part. Like it's just having a good time. But they're fun. They're a lot of fun to make.
Paraphrasing, but I had a guy on from Oklahoma, and I asked him, like, from a production side of a song, when is a song produced? When is it done? And he said, when you run out of money. And I would think that would be the same with video. They're done when you run out of money, because I've heard they're really expensive to put together a good video.
Oh, yeah. And, there's a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes. It's not, that just getting the people there at the right same time.
Yeah.
And, if you're filming live footage, you're hoping that they show up on a day when you have a big crowd, because live footage is really hard to get when there's nobody in front of you listening.
Right.
So.
And then you got to deal with elements. If you're doing anything outside, you got to deal. Is the sun right? Is it cloudy? Is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? Yeah.
Right.
That's tough. So do you have a video for the last song we're going to hear? It's called Gypsy Girl. Do you have a video for that?
Well, we have, I wasn't in it per se, but we had one that was made, that's on YouTube.
Okay.
This song was just inspired by my wife. She's Portuguese and has beautiful olive skin and like a very Mediterranean look to her. And this whole song just happened because I caught a glimpse of her in the short shorts, and and then just wrote this love song for her, and
that's so cool. That's just so cool, man. You catch a glimpse and you're inspired like that, and you write a whole song.
Well, she's got a great ass.
That's awesome. I mean, how do I comment after that? Kristian, that's funny. Kristian Montgomery and a song about a great ass. The Winter Kill Band and the song Gypsy Girl here on the Music of America podcast.
that gypsy girl. You can promise diamonds and pearls, just don't love that gypsy girl. It's a kind of love that breaks your balls, and she'll drown you in some alcohol. You pay a price when you get down. It's a sense she gets when she's in town. You can offer her the world, just don't love that gypsy girl. You can promise diamonds and pearls, just don't love that gypsy girl. Just don't love. Don't you love that gypsy girl? Well, alright. Don't you love her? You can offer her the world, just don't love. You can promise diamonds and pearls, just don't love. Doesn't matter, boy or girl, just don't love that gypsy girl.
That's Kristian Montgomery and the Winterkill Band, a song called Gypsy Girl here on the Music of America podcast. Tomorrow, our last day in Vermont. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Before we say goodbye to Kristian, though, Kristian, this is the last segment of the show. We call this shameless self-promotion. So you've been all over the world. You got music all over the place. You got videos everywhere. Tell us how we can find you, hear you, buy your stuff, and support you.
I'm all over the interwebs. You can find me on the Spotify and Amazon, Apple, all of that. You know, it's people sometimes hit us up and say, you know, I've been looking for you forever. I didn't know your name started with a K. So it's Kristian Montgomery and the Winterkill Band. We have a Bandcamp page that you can support. If anybody is up for a road trip, we'll be at the Parting Glass on June 28th in Saratoga, New York. I'll be in Albany in May, and I'll be in Troy, New York in June on the 21st. And then I'm heading to Copenhagen. I'll be on Vestibule Rock Radio in downtown Copenhagen the week of August the week of August 1st. So not sure when I will be exactly on that show, but we're putting it together.
Will you play live? Do you play live there?
I'm bringing my guitar and all that. That was the coolest, one of my cooler rock moments. My cousin Sarah called me from Copenhagen and said, "Kristian, you're on the radio," and I thought she was playing me. I thought she was playing me in her record store, and she goes, "No, you're on the radio," and she told me about it, and they sent me a clip of it, and it was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty neat.
Yeah.
What's it like?
So,
what's it like to sit there and say, "Whoa, people all over my home country are listening to me right now, or can listen to me right now"? It's cool.
It was very cool. I mean, a lot of my family is over there, and you know, I love them dearly and miss them when I'm here. So it's kind of cool to. It makes me feel like I'm there a little bit.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Love your story, man. Kristian, cool. Very cool. Get up to Burlington when I'm in town, and let's go to Istanbul and go up on the rooftop and have some Turkish food.
That would be awesome.
That place is awesome. It's my favorite restaurant.
Yeah, that place is good.
It really is. Or we'll just go catch some music over at Lee's place at Radio Bean, right?
Nice.
Sounds good. Or I'll come down to Rutland. We'll go to the Paramount.
That could be fun.
That'd be good. All right, thanks, Kristian Montgomery and the Winter Kill Band, our guest here on the Music America podcast. We wrap up our visit in Vermont tomorrow. The Sleepy Weasels with Bess Svan Monroe. David Crow will be with us to join us tomorrow here on the Music of America podcast. You've been listening to the Music of America podcast. We invite you to follow us at our website, www.musicofamericapod.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, under the same name, Music of America. Please check us out and give us a like and a follow. Every day, Monday through Friday, we will feature a new guest from that week's featured state. Keep following us as we evolve on these platforms to continue to give members of the music community a voice and a presence. And thank you for listening to the Music of America podcast.